India and UAE complement each other in areas of business growth, and the private sector are ready to support the two governments, a top company executive has said. The UAE is the 10th largest FDI source market for India, with the cumulative FDI researching USD $4.76 billion in the last 17 years from April 2000 till the March 2017. India's National Investment and Infrastructure Fund signed an investment agreement worth $1 billion with the wholly owned subsidiary of Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. As part of the agreement, ADIA will become the first institutional investors in NIIF's master fund and a shareholder in the National Investment and Infrastructure Limited, the NIIF's investment management company. The move is widely seen as a part of USD $75 billion investments programming announced by the UAE in August 2015 during the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, to Abu Dhabi. This marks a new beginning in our bilateral relationship that is going to be more specific and strategic in the years to come, where India and UAE complements each other in the areas of future growth and national security, said Dr. Azad Mupen, the president of Business Leader Forum and the founder of chairman of the Asseter DM Health Groups. We, as the representative of the private sector, are also getting ready to support the two governments realize their vision and objectives with our own investment initiatives, something that will happen or will announce at the two-day India-UAE Partnership Summit, he said. India's Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion recorded a USD $61 million FDI inflow from UAE in the April-June 2017 of this quarter. UAE and India share age-old ties whose foundation lies in the trade and investment. The annual two-way trade between the two countries today stands at about USD $53 billion, and the leadership of the two countries is committed to increase it by 60% over the next 5 years. While India remains UAE's top trading partner, UAE is India's third largest trading partner. Along with UAE, Chile has a favor to India. Chile is open to support the candidature of the membership of India in APEC, but all the resolution of the entry of the new country is decided by all the members of the group. Pointed out by the former Chilean President Eduardo Frei, head of the APEC Summit in Vietnam next month. Chile has an open economy and a stable institutional and political system, who installs a healthy business environment. With 10 trade agreements signed between Chile and the Latin American countries, the possibility to export and make business in the region are maximized. Frei told the select group of media here during his visit to push Indo-Chile economic partnership. Even more, Chile is one of the founders of the Pacific Alliance, the most successful integration movements of the history of Latin American region. Actually, its functions are becoming to be in a platform of political articulations, economic and commercial integration and projection to the world, with emphasis of the Asia-Pacific region, noted Frei. I would like to express the trade agreement that India and Chile was established in 2007 and then expanded in 2017 is not a free trade agreement, it's a preferential trade agreement. The nature of this agreement is relative minus ambition of an FTA, because it does not contain chapters related to intellectual property, electronic commerce, gender issues, environment or investment, among others, and the entry on force of the PDA Plus has been the 16th of May of 2017, only 5 months ago. For this reason, today it's difficult to highlight an increase in trade on either side. Nonetheless, I trust that the PDA Plus will increase the trade in the same way that the trade exported non-copper products have triplated from US $51 million in 2006 to USD $178 million in 2016. So what do you think of India getting the new and upgraded partnership with Chile and UAE for India's growth in economy and the trade relationships?
When we were growing up, we knew exactly when the rain season started and when it ended. Now, farmers do not know when the rain season starts and when the rain season ends. So they have realized it. They have accepted that yes, climate change is real. And so what we have done is to tell them you have to manage your forest sustainably.
Liberia is by far the most densely forested country in West Africa. Over 31% of the land area is covered by the largest intact block of the Upper Guinean forest, which ranks up with the Congo, Amazon, and Indonesian forests as the world's greatest tropical forest ecosystems.
If we are using forests to fight climate change, Liberia is one of those countries in West Africa or in Africa that the rest of the world should put attention to, because if the bottom 42 to 43% of the forest in Liberia is cut down, then it means that Africa is moving to a desert land.
During more than a decade, a devastating civil conflict has led to great loss of life, economic collapse, internal displacement, as well as the destruction of much of the country's infrastructure. The forestry sector, characterized by its weak governance, has suffered greatly from it, and most of the revenues generated from the forest were used to fuel the war. The country is now threatened by widespread abuse of the environment, unsustainable exploitation of natural resources, and by the consequences of climate change. This is manifested in the rapid rates of deforestation, environmental degradation, and rapid erosion. To date, more than 50% of the forests have been destroyed. Additionally, many illicit activities in protected areas still currently jeopardize the forest's conservation and threaten the lives of parks authorities and forest rangers. The main driver of deforestation includes population pressure due to the use of biological resources for food, shelter, and energy. Farming and agriculture practices, especially palm oil culture, in association with poaching, hunting, and unregulated timber extraction, continue to threaten biodiversity. When Liberia's second civil war ended, the forestry sector's approach changed from commercial to communitarian management and conservation of forests. With the aim of reduction of poverty and social and economic improvements, Liberia is now willing to embark on a more sustainable development path. It has also committed to tackling deforestation in an effort to meet internationally agreed targets for reducing the impact of climate change. In 2012, to encourage Liberia's contribution for climate change mitigation and adaptation, the World Bank's Forest Carbon Partnership Facility, FCPF, attributed funds to develop the country's national plan for engaging in REDD+.
As part of this reform process, gave us the right to set aside over 30% or more of our forests into some form of conservation management. We think forestry is changing. Post-war forestry is improving, and we continue to improve compared to pre-war forestry sectors.
Created with the objective of developing a climate change mitigation approach, the Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation, REDD+, a global program under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, aims to create financial incentives for developing countries to improve the role of conservation, sustainable management of forests, and enhancement of forest carbon stocks.
The story of REDD+ in Liberia, where are we now? We are in the middle of preparation and implementation. During the process of the preparatory stage, what we realized was that even though we have not reached the implementation stage, but that we're already beginning to implement some of those activities that should be part of the implementation stage of REDD+.
Liberia's roadmap for the REDD+ readiness phase is based on a combination of the following components: community awareness and participation, sustainable management of resources, reforestation and afforestation, and the fight against poverty. Much of the success of REDD+ will depend on how engaged and informed local communities are.
The main issue to be identified today is to put mechanism in place, how in terms of conflict in community, how community can resolve conflict on land, on forest and benefit.
Forests belong to the communities, doesn't belong to the government. So this process has been participatory, it will be participatory, and we will continue to participate, encourage the participation of the communities.
Forests are the natural infrastructure of the landscapes and provide several ecosystem services, amongst them water, biodiversity, medicinal plants, and non-timber forest products.
We do farming there, and the products from there, we bring it into the community to carry on community development. The community depends on the forest for its uses. So it's the burning right of the community to help to protect the forest for future uses.
As we used to see forests around, we no more see forests around. And forest is life, as I have it as my saying always, because beside Metal Sea, beside those Lamco, beside government, our people were existing into forest before, and they were using forest in a sustainable manner.
Sustainable management of forests can contribute to poverty alleviation and economic development of the nation through job creation and growth for communities.
One of the main challenges we face is the challenge of expectations, how we manage expectations. People who live around the fringes of the forest, how do they survive in the absence of getting payments? How do we convince them to say, you know what, keep your forest, you will get payment?
What can be our livelihood, or what can we do to continue our livelihood if we should leave the forest and leave the water? We need the alternative livelihood.
Enrichment planting in degraded forests and tree planting on degraded land improve the environment and provide opportunities for income and employment.
Where forests were before, according to our old people, they say, we're trying to replant the area because savanna grass creeping from Salium, Guinea, coming. This is a sea. As the wind blows, the sea comes to Liberia.
When we look at the years gone by, this place were covered with indigenous species. But because of this constant farming and the overgrown up populations, the indigenous species were gone truly off this place. So that's why we are focusing especially on indigenous species, because they used to this soil.
My late grandmother had a palm plantation about 17 acres. We're renewing it because getting too hard now, it's too tall, and you got less production. They train us about marketing, they train us about palm seeds, they train us how to put the palm on nursery, how to help it grow so that you can improve yourself.
Basically, my only expectation would be how we send the message from one generation to another, so that future generations will not sit and question us and say, what did they do? But let future generations say, yes, given the challenges, they did their best, and so we can do better.
Liberia is still facing an important number of challenges regarding the conservation of its forests. Therefore, REDD+'s transversal approach tips the economic balance in favor of sustainable management of forests, so that their economic, environmental, and social goods benefit communities, biodiversity, and the country itself.
Post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.